Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Colby James. I'm here to show you a little bit, not a little bit, I'm going to show you my entire process for making a game day graphic. I actually use the Philadelphia Eagles for this one and Carson Wentz. Everything that you need will be in the description below, the two pictures that I used, or the three pictures that I used, and some of the other things that I used along the way. They'll be down in the description for you. Things that you want me to give my best shot at. I am not an expert at this by any means. I learned on YouTube videos just like you're watching right now. So if there's any videos you want me to try, feel free to send it my way. You can find me on Facebook, Colby Bonewitz, or you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Bolby Conewitz. Send things my way. I love new challenges. I love to give things a shot. I'll see if I can do it. And then if I can, I'll make a tutorial about it and I'll show you how I did it. So if that's something that interests you, send it my way. But let's hop to it. Here we go. So the first thing you'll see here is we have our images already loaded in. I just put them in. You click the little square there or the little eye there and it will hide things. And then you'll have, this is the full background image. You press Command T and then you stretch that to the top to the bottom. You want to make it as big as you can. Then you're going to come down here to the bottom right, and you'll find hue and saturation. You're going to want to adjust that. I like to make it light for this, colorize it, make it light. The Eagles colors are green, so I chose like a little bit of a green tint to it, but lower the saturation on it. Find the right color that works best for you, whatever team you're choosing to do or whatever graphic you're trying to make. Then you'll go down into your layers panel, you'll grab your first image, click the quick selection tool, then select subject. Now what that does is that's going to grab the subject that it picks out. It's not perfect, as you can see. There's some spots around there that aren't perfect, but for the most part it does a pretty decent job. It gets you started, and I'll show you how we clean that up a little bit later on. So then Command T, and you can resize, put him where you want. Go down to your layers panel, grab the second picture, make it visible, quick selection tool, select subject. Again, does the same thing. One thing I forgot to point out, you want to make it a layer mask on that first one. So you'll come down to where that square and the circle is inside that square, and you will click that and it'll make a mask out of it. Then you'll take that, Command T, actually move that one underneath the other picture. That's how I have it, at least on this one. Command T and then adjust it to how you want. Make it a little bit bigger, you can make it a little bit smaller. Put it in behind the other image that you have, and then that part is good to go for the time being. The next thing you want to do is you want to go to your hue and saturation layer, and then you want to create a new layer by hitting the square with the plus. So that'll create a new layer for you, and what this is going to do is allow you to paint and do whatever you want to whatever is below that image. It'll adjust things, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint like a white kind of fade on the bottom so that you can see the shadow of his feet a little bit better. I also want to hide those fans that are right there. I don't really like that right there. I like what's out behind, and you'll see we'll keep that. So I do it the first time. I'm not crazy about that. It seems a little bit too much to me. Go up, change the opacity, drop it down to 47, 50%, somewhere around there, and then give it a go. And there you go. You get a little bit of a fade from the bottom. Simple, quick little easy trick. Next thing you're going to want to do is I go ahead and I have certain brushes that I use. I get them from brusheasy.com. You can get a lot of different brushes from there. These are like a powder explosion brush. You select that. You can make a new layer if you want. I did it right on this layer. It doesn't make a big difference whether you do one or the other. The only difference is you won't be able to adjust just the smoke layer by itself unless you make it a new layer. But for me, it didn't really make a big difference. So you come down here, double click on that first little box right there. It'll pull up this color picker. Then you scroll and you look and see. Okay, so you click right there, I clicked right there and got that green color that I wanted. Just click and plop it around wherever you think it looks best. A lot of this is trial and error. Command Z is going to be your best friend. That's how you undo something. So when you paint, Command Z or Control Z if you're on PC. I believe it's Control Z. But yeah, and you go ahead and paint and get it the way that you want it. Put it in between the two main photos, the two photos of Carson Wentz I have here. I put it in front of the one in the background, but behind the one that's in the front of the photo. Then this is where a little bit of time is going to come into play. So switch my brush head. I don't want to use the powder one, I just want to use the regular circle one. This is a very time consuming process, but one that is super helpful. What you want to do is you want to go in, reduce your brush size. You can do that with just the bracket. White will bring back whatever the image originally was, and black will get rid of whatever the image was originally. So as you can see here, I'm painting around the helmet. I'm just trying to get rid of, like, there's always that little bit on the outside that just doesn't look right. It's got a different color for whatever reason. You'll see it, around the hands quite a bit. That's a good place. Zooming in, Command T, Control T will zoom in, and you can clean up around the hands. It does take a bit of time, but trust me when I tell you, it is worth it, because you'll see at the end of this what a difference it makes to go in and clean all that up. And again, if you make a mistake, just Command Z. It'll undo whatever it is that you just did. But I'm actually going to fast forward through this whole part. That way you don't have to sit here and watch this for however long it did. This usually is the most time consuming part of this entire thing, is getting this down right. Take your time with it. It's important that you get it done. It's the details is what matters the most. If you can get the details down right, it's going to look a lot better than you think it would if you were to just leave it. So I'm going to fast forward through this part right here. Alright, so we're done with the first part, and now we're going to move on to the second image of Carson Wentz here, and we're going to do the same thing. The reason that I paused it here, and I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit real quick, is I want to show you what I do when I get to his helmet. So I'm just going to move up a little bit. So we're on the top of the helmet. As you can see, there's that glare at the top of his helmet from whatever the image was originally. You want to get rid of that, just because it doesn't look right. The lighting doesn't look right for the image, and do the best that you can when getting rid of it. So as you can see, I do my normal cutout job that I do, but there's still that little bit of glare that's there at the top. I'm going to go ahead and actually finish cutting out, and then we'll come back to that. Alright, so I'm done, and we're coming back up to that glare that's at the top. So you're going to want to select the original image on your layers panel. Don't select the mask, select the original image, which is that gray and white background with the image there. You have that selected. Then you're going to want to come over to your toolbar here. Click those three dots that's down at the bottom. If you double click on it, it will give you a whole list of options. The one you're looking for here is called the Clone Stamp tool. That's the one that you're looking for here. If you're on a Mac, you press Option, and it will give you a display that will allow you to select some part of the original image, and then you can go ahead and copy it. Whoa, that lighting that's doing some weird things on my face. That's weird. But it'll allow you to take a piece of the image and actually move it to a different spot on the image and basically paint with that. You'll see what I'm saying here in a second. So option click, and then it'll allow me, you're going to want to rasterize it real quick. Then you go in and you just start painting with that color that's there, and you'll see it starts getting rid of that glare, but it keeps the same color of the helmet. That way you're not getting this kind of funky looking, weird looking helmet. You don't want that. Alright, so that looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. I like the way that it looks. And so we're going to go ahead and start editing the photos. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you are selected on the image, not the mask, the image itself. Camera filter, camera raw filter, and then adjust how you see fit. I like to always put the clarity up. It just sharpens everything. I like the way that looks. Brought the exposure up a little bit, contrast up a little bit, highlights up, shadows down, whites up, blacks down. Press OK. It'll make the effect. Then you go to the next image, filter, camera raw filter, and do the same thing, whatever you like. Again, clarity always goes up for me. Brighten that photo a little bit, mess with the contrast, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go back and forth with it, and do I like it, do I not like it? You kind of just decide each time when you're editing something. Do you like the way it looks? Do you not like the way it looks? It's a bit of a guessing game sometimes, because you don't know always what you like in a certain image. So now I went to that smoke layer and I pressed that square with the plus sign, added a new layer, and what this is going to be is the shadow for Carson's feet. So what you're going to want to do is get your brush, get it to a good size. Now as you'll see, when you click the brush, there is that circle there. I actually have it preset. You'll see it on the screen. It's that last available one, all the way to the right of those that are the ones I've used recently. But what you can do is you can drag that circle, what you can do is drag the filled in circle, you can pull it down, and what it'll do is change the size of your brush, and you're going to want to flatten it out a little bit because you're putting a shadow of sorts. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So let me make this bigger, and then you just click. Again, this is a guessing game. Command Z. I didn't like where that was. Nope. Command Z. Do we like that one? Yeah, we like that one. So we're going to change the opacity. Wrong spot. Put that back up. Go change the opacity of it over here in the layers panel. That way it's not super sharp. Looks good. Looks like a shadow. Looks pretty good to me. So we'll move on from there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw on like a big old, I don't really know how to describe it, just a big brush like stroke. Like, so you see what I did there. I didn't like it. I didn't want it in black. I wanted it in white. So I went in, changed the color, painted on white. Didn't really like the way that looked either. Moved it around a little bit. Wasn't crazy about it. Zoomed out and painted there. No, and again, it's just a guessing game. Command Z is the best friend. I told you that earlier. And painted that one. I didn't really like that one. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good to me. So we'll zoom in. I moved it on top of everything, put it as that top layer in the layers panel. Then adjusted. You know, you can move things around as you please. When you realize that you like something in a different spot, you can always move it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the rectangles that will have the information on it. So you go ahead and select your rectangle tool over there. Make sure you have your fill is on black up at the top. And then you go ahead and draw yourself a rectangle. So one thing I noticed is I have this white stroke that's going over top of where the words would be, and potentially make it so that you can't really read the words super well. So what you do is you select that layer, Command T, and now I'm moving this entire layer that was this paintbrush that I put over top of the entire photo itself. So, and then you can move it as you please. So you put that black rectangle there, and it's important to note that the black rectangle, you got to make sure you put it in the right spot on the layers panel. That way it sits behind the front photo, and then if you need to adjust the size, you can. That way it doesn't stick out from one side or the other. You'll see the finished product, what I mean here. And it's actually, I showed you the finished product at the beginning. But anyway, that's what you want to do. So you have it where I want it, move it a little bit, place it right there, looks good to me. You press T, that opens up your text. This is a font that I found. It is the NFL Eagles font. I literally just Googled Philadelphia Eagles font and it popped up. So you type in Eagles, move it to where you want it. Press T again, that opens up your text tool. Highlight, Command A will highlight everything that's there. Didn't change the size of it a little bit. I didn't like it quite that big. And I'm also going to move it to the front. Yep, we're going to move it in front of Carson Wentz, that front photo. Then we will come over to the FX. Then we will click Drop Shadow. Press OK. Again, text tool, press T. Type in @Redskins because they're playing the Redskins week 1 of this next season, if we even have it. Shout out COVID-19. Make it smaller. And then we'll just put it inside that box. Whoops, grab the wrong thing. Redskins, Command T, grab that, put it inside the box. Make it a little bit smaller so that it fits inside. Yep, and we'll drag that thing right about there. Looks good. Alrighty, then you'll come to your layers panel and you can find that rectangle tool. Then you press Command J or Control J, and that will make a copy of that rectangle, then just Command T, and then you can move it freely to wherever you want, change the size of it. You hold Shift and move the blue markers on the outside, and it'll allow you to move it freely, as opposed to if you just do it normally, it does it proportionately. So if you're dragging out wider, it's going to make everything a little bit wider, but if you hold Shift and drag one way or the other like you saw me do, it will change it freely how you want. Do the same thing that I did with the text with the eagles. Type in the date, September, I believe it's the 13th. Yes, so September 13th. That little part didn't show up in the Eagles font that I wanted, so change that. Drag that down, and what I'm going to do is actually make it bigger, so like the bottom portion of it sits in that black rectangle, and the top portion sits above it. I actually want to move that above Carson Wentz, that way you can see it. Same thing, FX, drop shadow. It saves whatever you just did last, and I think that looks good. Go back to that rectangle, Command J, drag that sucker over here, change the size of it once again. Again, hold Shift, click, drag, adjust it so you can't see it on the opposite side. And we're going to put the time, which is 1 p.m. Sweet. And once we have it the way that we want, 1 p.m., I have to adjust that, get rid of that space there. I'm not a fan of that. Yep, there you go. Command A, shrink it a little bit, that way it fits inside that thing. Same thing, you're gonna go down to FX, and that drop shadow will still be in there just like all the other ones. Bada bing, bada boom. Looks good. And you're almost done. One of the last image things that you want to change, I put the logo in. You don't have to with every time. Looks good. I like to do it. So you just drag it in there, Command T, adjust the size of it. Put it at the top there. Looks good. So you go ahead and place the logo there. It wasn't crazy now that I'm looking at it. I wasn't crazy about what how both Carson Wentz's looked. So I clicked on one, clicked Shift, clicked on the other. It allowed me to manipulate both of them. Then press Command T, Control T, and allowed me to adjust the size of them and location of them. Don't forget to grab that shadow as well. I grabbed the shadow when I was doing that. Adjusted it, made it look like the size that I wanted. Alright, and once you have it where you want it, I'm going to go ahead and type in Game Day here. Command T, rotate it, make it nice and big. Again, if you just click and drag, it'll keep everything proportionate, let it fill the screen. I'm going to drag it up. I like to have it fall a little bit off the page. Just, I don't know, I like the look of it. You'll come over here to your layers panel. You're going to click FX, then you're going to click stroke. And then I had it preset already in there what I wanted to do, and then you'll click fill and you'll drop the fill, and then what you see is that creates a little bit of a like an outline of the word Game Day, so you can see that over there. Then you'll drag that towards the bottom. I wanted to drag it towards the bottom, put it underneath everything. There you go, looks good right there. And then I believe you are pretty much done. Now that I'm inspecting everything, it looks good. So you're going to want to come up to the top of the layers panel, click on that top thing that's there, and then on Mac, Command Option Shift E. And I believe if it just translates over to Mac, or to PC, excuse me, it'll be Control Option Shift E. And what it does is it creates a layer with everything that's below in the layers panel. Creates a layer of everything that's there, which is really helpful when you want to edit the entire thing in what I'm going to do. So you go filter, camera raw filter, and then you can adjust the entire thing as one image without having to like bring it, export it in Lightroom and then export it back and and all sorts of fun stuff. You can just edit it in here. I make some simple adjustments. You can make adjustments however you see fit. I'll let you see what it is that I did. If this works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, do something different. I said okay, that looks good. Then I'm going to go down to, this like half moon looking thing, and then you will find color lookup, and then you'll go to the 3D LUT file. You'll see that of those three things, it's at the top there. You'll click that, and there's a bunch of different things that are loaded into Photoshop already that you can use. You can try any of them, try to find one that you like. The one that I liked for this one was Fuji Eterna. Fuji Eterna 250D Kodak 2395. It's the one I liked for this. I like the way it made the image look, so I'm gonna roll with that. And that's pretty much it. That's your image. You're done there. You can go ahead, file, export that as you please. Yeah, that's basically it. That's how I do that. Do these types of things. If you like this video, please subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below things that worked for you, or like I said, if you want something specific done, you want to send it my way, you can go ahead and find me on Facebook. My name is actually Colby Bonewits. James is my middle name. Or you can find me on Instagram, Bolby Conwitz. You can send things my way, and I'll happily give an attempt at them and maybe make a tutorial out of them and try and help you out. So, appreciate you guys watching the video. Hope this was helpful. We'll see you.